Shadow Protocol. The Galactic Council's declaration came without warning. In the middle of Earth's first interstellar diplomatic mission, the transmission cut through all channels, broadcasting in every human language simultaneously. Species designation: human. Classification: quarantined. Effective immediately, all non-Sol system territory is forbidden. Any human vessel detected beyond your home system will be destroyed without warning. Any species providing aid to humans will face immediate sanctions. This decision is final and without appeal. Just like that, humanity's dreams of joining the interstellar community were crushed. Centuries of reaching for the stars, decades of sacrifices to develop FTL travel, all rendered meaningless by a council of alien species they had only just discovered existed. The reclamation ships returned Earth's ambassadors and researchers from the Proxima Centauri colony. The message was clear: stay in your corner of the galaxy or face extinction. Commander Elena Reyes stood in the Lunar Operations Center, watching as the last of humanity's starships limped back into orbit. Through the viewport, Earth gleamed blue and vibrant. A beautiful cage. "They think they've contained us," she said, her voice steady despite the rage burning beneath it. The 5 other individuals in the room, Earth's most brilliant minds in physics, biology, military strategy, and diplomacy, remained silent. "I want to know why. And then I want to know how we break their containment." Dr. Jun Park, quantum physicist and architect of Earth's now useless FTL drive, stepped forward. The council didn't even bother explaining their reasoning. Quarantine implies disease or danger. What could they possibly fear from us? Elena turned to face the assembled team. "That's exactly what we need to find out. And we need to do it without them knowing we're looking." Thus began Project Umbra, humanity's secret answer to the Council's quarantine. While Earth's governments publicly accepted the Council's terms, protesting only through formal diplomatic channels, Elena's team was authorized to operate in absolute secrecy, with resources diverted through untraceable channels. For 3 years, they worked in the shadows. Disguised research vessels pushed to the very edge of the Sol system, scanning, listening, gathering every scrap of information they could about the technology that kept them prisoner. Council monitoring stations ringed the system, automated sentinels ensuring humanity remained caged. The breakthrough came from the most unlikely place. A mining expedition in the Kuiper Belt discovered an ancient alien artifact, predating even the Galactic Council. Dr. Park recognized the technology immediately. It wasn't from any known Council species. "It's a dimensional phase shifter," he explained as the team gathered around the artifact in their hidden lunar base. "Theoretical physics predicted something like this might be possible, but we were centuries away from developing it ourselves." Elena leaned closer, studying the glowing blue lattice structure. "And what exactly does it do?" "It shifts matter partially out of phase with normal spacetime," Jun said, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Essentially, it exists in a space between spaces, visible but untouchable, present but undetectable." Strategic Director Colonel Wei Zhang immediately grasped the implications. "If we could adapt this technology, we could move past their monitoring stations undetected." Elena finished. "We could leave the Sol system." The next 18 months were dedicated to reverse engineering the technology. They named it Shadow Protocol, a fitting title for the technology that would allow humanity to slip through the cracks of their prison. The first test vessel was small, barely large enough for 2 pilots. Commander Reyes insisted on being one of them. "This is either going to be the greatest achievement in human history," she told Captain Marcus Davis as their ship approached the boundary of the Sol system, "or the shortest rebellion ever recorded." They activated Shadow Protocol as they approached the nearest monitoring station. The ship shuddered as the phase technology engaged, surrounding them in a translucent blue field. On all instruments, the Council's station remained inactive, its sensors sweeping past their vessel without registering their presence. "It's working," Marcus whispered, as if afraid the station might hear him. They pushed beyond, traveling farther from Earth than any human had in the 3 years since the quarantine. When they returned 2 days later, Earth's hidden resistance had its proof. The cage had a gap in its bars. Within 6 months, humanity had constructed a fleet of shadow vessels, small, agile ships designed for reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Alina's team began mapping Council territories, intercepting communications, and studying the species that had condemned them to isolation. The data they gathered painted a disturbing picture. Humanity wasn't the first species to be quarantined. Throughout the Council's 10,000-year history, 17 other species had been similarly contained, and 6 had been completely eradicated after attempting to break their quarantine. But why? Dr. Sofia Martinez, the team's xenobiologist, questioned as they reviewed the data. What do these species, including humans, have in common that frightens them so much? The answer came from a classified Council database, stolen during a daring raid on a communications hub in the Sirius system. The document, bearing the highest security classification, detailed unpredictable evolutionary capacity and dangerous adaptive potential. They're afraid of how quickly we evolve and adapt, Sofia realized. Both biologically and technologically, most Council species reached an evolutionary plateau millions of years ago. Their development is stable, predictable. And we're not, Alina concluded. We're still changing, still evolving, and that terrifies them. With this knowledge came resolve. The Shadow Fleet continued to grow, now including larger vessels capable of offensive operations. Earth's governments, still maintaining the public facade of compliance, secretly funneled resources to Alina's operation. The first strike came precisely 5 years after the quarantine began. A Council monitoring station on the edge of the Sol system simply disappeared, its automated distress signal silenced before it could transmit. The Council sent investigators, who found nothing but debris, and no explanation for the station's destruction. A month later, another station went dark, then another. The Council, for the first time, began to show signs of panic. They reinforced the remaining stations, doubled patrol ships, and issued stern warnings to Earth about the consequences of any attempted breach of quarantine. Earth's official response was confusion and denial. Meanwhile, Alina's fleet grew bolder, venturing deeper into Council space. They established hidden bases in uninhabited star systems, gathered allies among other species chafing under Council rule, and prepared for the moment when hiding would no longer be necessary. That moment came when Alina's flagship, the Umbra Dawn, decloaked in the middle of a Council patrol fleet near Alpha Centauri. Before the alien vessels could react, the Umbra Dawn transmitted a simple message on all frequencies. To the Galactic Council, your quarantine has failed. Humanity will no longer be contained. We come not in vengeance, but in determination. Meet us as equals, or meet us as opponents. The choice is yours. The transmission ended, and the Umbra Dawn vanished back into phase space, leaving the patrol fleet in disarray, and the Council facing a truth they had feared for centuries. Humanity had broken their chains. The reckoning. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so chaotic. Representatives from 217 species filled the massive chamber, their voices creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. At the center of the hall, the 7 High Counselors, leaders of the founding species of the Galactic Council, struggled to maintain order. High Counselors Extra, a tall crystalline being whose translucent body pulsed with internal light, finally managed to silence the chamber by emitting a piercing harmonic tone that made everyone wince. We face an unprecedented crisis, Zextra announced, its voice resonating through the hall. For the first time in Council history, a quarantined species has not only breached containment, but has developed technology beyond our ability to track or counter. The main holographic display activated, showing footage of Council monitoring stations being destroyed by invisible attackers, followed by the appearance of the human vessel and its defiant message. The humans have somehow acquired phase shift technology, continued Thalcor, the reptilian High Counselor for Military Affairs. Technology that we believed was theoretical at best, impossible at worst. They can move undetected through our territories, strike at will, and disappear before we can respond. The chamber erupted again, voices demanding explanations, solutions, action. Some called for immediate military response, the complete destruction of the Sol system. Others urged caution, pointing out that if humans could now move freely through space, destroying their homeworld might only scatter them further. In the midst of this chaos, a figure rose from the observer section, a being wrapped in tattered gray robes, its face hidden beneath a deep hood. The chamber fell silent as the figure approached the central platform. "The Veshkar," whispered Zextra, crystal body dimming in what appeared to be shock or fear. The Veshkar were among the oldest species known to the galaxy, predating even the Council itself. They rarely involved themselves in galactic politics, preferring isolation in the ancient ruins of their once vast empire. Their appearance at a council session was unprecedented. "We have observed your situation," the Veshkar spoke, its voice dry as ancient dust. "The humans have discovered technology from our early empire era. Technology we abandoned as too dangerous." The being pulled back its hood, revealing a face that seemed almost mummified. Gray skin stretched tight over an elongated skull, eyes like black pits that reflected no light. "We can help you destroy them, if that is your wish. We know the vulnerabilities of phase shift technology. We know how to track them, how to pull them back into normal space." The council chamber remained silent, the offer hanging in the air like a blade. Unknown to the assembled council, Commander Elena Reyes stood among them. The Shadow Protocol not only allowed ships to travel undetected, but, with refinement, permitted individual operatives to move through secured areas with near-perfect invisibility. While not completely undetectable, a sharp eye might catch a slight distortion in the air. The technology allowed Elena to infiltrate the very heart of the council. She listened as the High Counselors debated the Veshkar's offer, her anger growing with each passing moment. The council wasn't interested in understanding humanity or addressing the injustice of the quarantine. They simply wanted to eliminate the threat. Elena had come to gather intelligence, but now she saw an opportunity for something more powerful: truth. As the council seemed ready to accept the Veshkar's offer, Elena deactivated her phase field. The sudden appearance of a human in the chamber caused immediate panic. Security drones converged, weapons trained on her, but she stood calmly, hands raised. "Before you decide to eradicate my species," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos, "you might want to hear what I have to say." Zextra, after a moment of stunned silence, signaled the security forces to hold. "You have courage, human, I will grant you that. Speak, then, before we decide your fate." Elena stepped forward, facing not just the High Counselors, but the representatives of hundreds of worlds. "You quarantined humanity because you fear us. Not because of anything we've done, but because of what we might become. I've seen your records. The other species you've contained or destroyed followed the same pattern." She activated a small projector displaying the classified documents her team had stolen. "You call it unpredictable evolutionary capacity. We call it growth, adaptation, progress. The very things that allowed life to emerge in the first place." The Veshkar hissed, a sound like escaping steam. "This human speaks of things it cannot understand. The danger is not in their current state, but in what they will inevitably become if allowed to develop unchecked." Elena turned to face the ancient being. "And what exactly is that? What do you fear will become?" The Veshkar was silent for a long moment before responding. "Like us, you will become like us." A murmur ran through the chamber. The Veshkar continued, "Before we became what we are now, our species underwent rapid evolution, both biological and technological. We conquered a third of this galaxy in less than a millennium. We modified our bodies, our minds, until we barely resembled our original forms." The being's voice grew softer, almost regretful. "And then we discovered the price of such uncontrolled advancement. The instabilities, the fracturing of our society, the biological degradation that followed. What you see before you is not our natural state, but the result of trying to be more than we were meant to be. Elena understood then. So the quarantine isn't about protecting the council from us. It's about protecting us from ourselves. Partially, admitted Zextra, but also about protecting the stability of the galactic community. Rapid advancement leads to destabilization, conflict, potentially interstellar war. That's not your decision to make, Elena countered. Every species has the right to determine its own path, to make its own mistakes, to find its own solutions. By quarantining us, you've taken that right away. She addressed the entire chamber now. Humanity has broken your quarantine not to threaten you, but to reclaim our freedom. We don't want war, but we will not be caged again. The debate that followed lasted for days. Elena, now joined by an official delegation from Earth, presented humanity's case. The council representatives were divided, some seeing the wisdom in Elena's words, others still fearful of the potential threat humanity represented. In the end, it was neither complete victory nor defeat for humanity. The quarantine was lifted, but with conditions. Human expansion would be gradual and monitored, technology sharing would be limited and controlled, and Earth would accept council observers to ensure compliance. Not perfect, but a beginning, a recognition of humanity's place in the galactic community. As Elena prepared to return to Earth with the news, Zextra approached her privately. You've won a significant concession today, Commander Reyes, but I wonder if you truly understand what you've set in motion. The path of rapid advancement is seductive, but treacherous. Elena met the crystalline being's gaze steadily. Perhaps, but it's our path to walk. And who knows, maybe we'll find a better way than the Veshkar did. That's the thing about humans. We learn not just from our own mistakes, but from the mistakes of others. Zextra's crystalline body pulsed thoughtfully. For all our sakes, I hope you're right. As Elena's ship departed the council station, she looked out at the vast expanse of stars now open to humanity once more. The Shadow Protocol had given them freedom, but it was their humanity, their determination, adaptability, and unwillingness to accept imprisonment that had truly broken their chains. The galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would humanity.